Good afternoon, guys. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will start our class in just 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, let's wait for others also to join. We will wait 1 or 2 minutes. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts in previous classes, you can ask.
Sir,
Yes,
whatever will you teach in this lecture class will be helpful for lab also.
yes.
So, sir, are we late in lectures or?
No, actually, your lab assignments are designed only for data structures, but your theory course is designed for both data structures and operating systems. So if you, these are the computer science core subjects. If you ask your friends who are studying in computer science, they might have tell you that data structures is exclusively a entire different course. Operating system is an entire course, entire different course. So data structures they are studying now in third semester. Operating system they will study in fifth semester. But this both courses they club together in electronics department. But this is not core subject to you. But however, it is a very important subject when you are trying to develop some algorithms, or when you are thinking about an operating system or some hardware associated with it. You should have some idea of what is data structures are, what is operating systems are. Although it is not your core subject, but still it is important. And if anybody is interested in coming to computer science field in the future, coming to IT field, the C programming, data structures, algorithms, operating systems, this will help you a lot. The way the curriculum is designed is the problem, but we can't help. It is coming from academic section, so that's how they designed it, and we will follow it. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Sir, are we studying operating system first and then data structure we will study?
Yes, see, operating systems, I gave you in the previous class only a brief introduction, like what is an operating system, what are the various jobs operating system will do. That's all we all discussed for 3 lectures, only introduction to operating system, right? So when I said that an operating system will help us to manage hardware on behalf of users, it will act as in between, like how a process is scheduled, how a process management will. I mean, we studied that operating systems will take care of process management. Operating system will take care of CPU scheduling. Operating system takes care of memory management. Operating system takes for input output management. We have device drivers, so we all understood in the introduction class, but there are various approaches for how a CPU is scheduling a process. Okay, there are various ways how memory management will happen, how virtual memory management will happen. That all we are going to study in depth in the coming class. But before getting into that, we need to have a brief understanding of data structures is. So when I say kernel is a basic part of all the other jobs of application programs, right? So you load Windows 10. In Windows 10 already in your RAM some operating system is loaded that we call that as a kernel. On top of it, when I'm running a browser, when I'm running a PowerPoint presentation, these are application softwares which operating system is running behalf of me, right? So a kernel will handle its data using in an efficient way using data structures. So we are trying to understand how kernel is using different data structures that I discussed in the previous class. Kernel will use linked list, stack, queues, trees, graphs, and all, right. So as a part of this course, it is also given in your curriculum that we are we are ought to discuss all these concepts, and these are the things that are also we are going to ask you in your lab assignments to implement. So it's my understanding that if we discuss data structures first before going in depth of operating system, that will help you to understand operating system in a better way, and also it will help you to finish your assignments in a more meaningful way. That's why we had a brief introduction of what is an operating system does, and now we are discussing about data structures.
Yeah,
Is this
sir.
clear?
That's I wanted to request that we should study data structure first, so that it can help us in assignments in lab.
Sir, in lab assignment, we have been given an assignment which requires knowledge of linked lists, and we don't know anything of it.
Right, we will discuss that. Okay, we will discuss in the maybe by this week or next week. So we are out to discuss many things, but I don't know whether the time will permit or not. But we will try to discuss that. Okay, you will understand what is data structures, how linked list works, how stack works, how queue works. All things we'll discuss.
Okay, sir.
So before that, see, when I'm discussing some data structures, the steps, how the data structure is implemented, we need to understand how an algorithm works. That's how the implementation of data structures will be using algorithms. That's what we studied in the previous class. And when we design an algorithm for a problem, see, you have a problem and you are finding some solution to the problem. You may have many number of solutions for the problem. Okay, it is not that one problem has only one solution. Okay, you can have many solutions for a problem. If I had to give an example, you know how to sort an element
From array. Yes, sir.
So you compare an element with the next element and you see which is bigger, then you swap them, right?
Yes, sir. This is bubble
Yes,
sort.
sir.
Yeah, that is a bubble sort. So you compare with every element, and you keep the biggest element at the end. And second iteration, what you are doing, you are comparing again the same procedure. Now you are keeping the second largest element at the second last. So you are sorting your list from biggest to lowest, one by one iteration at a time. That's what bubble sort does. But is that the only way that you can sort?
No, sir.
There are
Sir,
many other
bubble
ways.
selection insertion 3.
Right. So there are selection sort. What selection sort does is, in selection sort, why I want to keep biggest element at the last. You can sort any element by keeping the smallest element in the first. You keep the smallest, you compare all your list, pick the smallest element and place it at the first place. Now, so again, scan the whole array, take the second the smallest element, keep it at the second place. So you sort your list using the smaller, based on the logic of smallest element first towards the biggest. That's how the selection sort works. Okay, so there are other sorts like merge sort. You divide your array into two parts and you keep on dividing until you get one element. You compare that one element, then you merge them. You compare now four elements, and while comparing, while you are merging, you compare them and merge them into a sorted array. You keep dividing and comparing. Okay, that we'll discuss in today's class how merge sort will work. So if my problem is sorting, I can have many ways of solving that problem. But which is the best solution? If there are many solutions are there, how we will know that which is the best? What is the best algorithm? Is that we are interested in. Okay, so that we are going to study in today's class. So sometimes there are more than one way to solve a problem. If there are more than one way to solve a problem, our interest is we need to learn how to compare the performance of different algorithms, and we will choose the best one to solve a particular problem. So whichever is the best, that's a good algorithm. Okay, that's a good algorithm. So we will try to do that. For example, if I ask you to come from your hostel, say many of you might be staying in
Tagore.
Allahabad. Okay, Tagore, fine. Tagore. So if you ask you to come from Tagore to Tagore hostel to our computer science department, you can come easily, whichever the possible shortest path you will find, or you can go to civil lines. From civil lines, you can catch an auto. You can come to the Yamuna gate. Then again, you can come to hostel. That is also solution. I cannot say that that is not a solution, but which is the best is what we are concerned about. So likewise, there are many problems, there are many solutions. We will try to compare what is the best one. So while analyzing an algorithm, we need to consider two parameters to find which is the best algorithm. One is time complexity and space complexity. What is time complexity is? Time complexity of an algorithm helps us to determine how much time will take an algorithm to run given an input. Okay, so the function is the length of the input. For example, an algorithm may behave well for small inputs, but if it is large number, so maybe 10 lakh 1 crore, if I give big number, still my algorithm will behave properly or not, which is very important thing. Okay, so time complexity will help me to determine how much time it will take for an algorithm to run based on the input, but based on the length of the input. Likewise, the space complexity of an algorithm quantifies the amount of space or memory taken by an algorithm to run the function in the length of input. So my space, how much I need to run an algorithm, is also matters. But nowadays, these were the two important criteria: space complexity and time complexity were the important criteria to determine the algorithm, to determine the best algorithm. But nowadays what happens is, nowadays memory is available very cheap, right? You can buy 1 TB of, sorry, what, how much is your RAM? Maybe like 4 GB, 5 GB, 6 GB of RAM. You may find it in 4,000, 6,000, like that. You go to the market and inquire the price of RAM. Maybe 2 GB RAM you will find for 1,000, maximum 2,000, depends on the hardware. If your RAM you want to go for 4 GB, maximum you will find in 3,000 to 4,000. Memory is not that costly compared to the time. What we are interested when we run an algorithm, how fast it will run is really we are interested in. So nowadays, because memory is available with a cheaper price, the space complexity will not at all a problem. Okay, you are having a Facebook account, Instagram account, YouTube. You have storing lots of data, lots of memory is usage. Okay, but how fast your access time, how without buffering, how fast the video is playing, how fast your algorithm is working, is really we are concerned about. The storage is not a problem nowadays, but the time is a problem. But when the computer was invented in 1950s, 1960s, at the time storage was also a problem. We understand when we studied in the first class, the floppy is a portable disk with just 1.4 MB. Can you imagine? 1.4 MB was a big deal in 90s. That time the memory was also a constraint. But nowadays memory becomes very much available. So what we are interested is very much in space. So time or space complexity of an algorithm depends on lot of things like hardware, which operating system you are running, which processor you are running. If I'm running with a simple single processor, my algorithm will take more time. My time will be taking more time. My space will be needing more time. But if I'm running with a i7 or i5, which will be more speed than the old ones, right? So likewise, which operating system you are also running, that is also matters. So if you are running with a Linux operating system, maybe things may work little speed. If you are running Windows operating system, it might be little slow because it has a lot of graphical user interface in Windows operating system comparatively, right? So, but we don't consider all these factors when we are analyzing an algorithm. we will only consider the execution time of an algorithm. Okay, for the time, how much time when his algorithm is taking to run is the only thing we will be focusing on. So we will ignore the other elements for the time being. So for example, let us take an example that a program looks like a specific entry in a sorted list. So as I told that we have different ways of sorting an algorithm of size n. Now suppose let's say that a program was implemented in computer A using linear search algorithm. You have two algorithms, and computer B a much slower algorithm, binary search algorithm. If you don't know this, what is linear search, what is binary search, don't worry. Next class I will discuss this. Okay, in array next class we'll discuss arrays. We'll discuss what is linear search, what is binary search. We'll try to I'll try to explain. Okay, so there are two algorithms. Let us now for time being assume that there are two algorithms, computer A and computer B. Now this is your input size. So when you want to sort 16 elements, time taken by A in nanoseconds will be 8 nanoseconds. Time taken by B machine to run in nanoseconds will be almost 1 lakh nanoseconds. So if my input is 63, computer will take 32 nanoseconds and computer B will take 1,50,000 nanoseconds. If my input size is 250 elements, I want to find an element with 250 with linear search. It may take 125 nanoseconds, whereas computer B will take 2 lakh nanoseconds. So this is the time which I'm recording. Okay, which I'm recording on my observed data. So based on this assumption, can you tell me which algorithm is best?
Computer.
The first one.
Computer A.
First one.
Computer A. Okay. Any other answers?
Sir, maybe algorithm is same, but computer.
Sir, algorithm is
different.
same, but computer A is fast.
B is faster. Okay, algorithms.
Sir, A is fast.
Huh? A is faster.
Sir, A is fast. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone who's supporting B is faster? Okay, anyone is saying I don't know. We can't say based on this data. Based on this information on the slide, on the table, we cannot say that which algorithm is best. Is there anyone who supports this statement?
Sir, algorithm B का better है.
B ka better, but why it is taking more time?
Sir, that is because of other factors like hardware, processor, such things.
Right. So basically, so based on this data, if you jump to a conclusion that A is running faster, you have to observe here the input size. The input size is only 1000. What happens when I increase the input size now? Yeah, so based on the above metrics, it is very easy to jump to a conclusion that computer A is running an algorithm far superior efficiency than computer B. However, if the size of input list is increased, so the size of input is only 1000 there, but if the size of input, when I said earlier, the size of input is increased, say 1 lakh or 2 lakh or 10 lakhs. Okay, then the conclusion may change very rapidly. See, in your IIT, JEE or JEE, how many students gave the exam?
All the students. Sir.
No.
Million.
Take the exam.
So
10 12 lakhs,
Yes,
sir.
10 lakhs.
10 lakhs, around 10 lakhs, right? Although it's an all India over exam. So many students would have completed. Minimum you can count easily 10 lakhs. If 10 lakh students are giving an exam and you are getting a rank at the based on the rank you merit, you got the admission. So you have to sort all this 10 lakh student marks. So imagine how much then what will happen in that time also, if your computer is able to give faster, that is a good algorithm, right? So we measure the time complexity. See, I'll show you this. So when my input size is larger, see, when my input say 1 lakh, if I give 1 lakh, computer is A is taking 5 lakh amount of nanoseconds, computer B is also taking 5 lakh nanoseconds. When I increase my input to 4 lakh, computer A is running 2 lakh nanoseconds, but whereas computer B is running, sorry, this is 20 lakhs. Okay, this is 20 lakhs, but whereas computer B is running 5 lakhs 50,000 only. When my input is running 16, this is 1 crore, okay, almost 1 crore. Then my computer is taking 80,000 milliseconds. You can say in millions, okay, 16 million input and 8 million nanoseconds, whereas here 600 nanoseconds only. You see this, when my input is growing large, the computer A is running very badly, but computer B is giving better performance. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now tell me which algorithm is better?
And the B one.
B.
Binary.
Sir, it,
Binary.
sir, it depends on the
binary one.
input size, sir.
Right.
Depend on the input.
Exactly. So you cannot define an algorithm by noting down on pen and paper, this algorithm is taking this much time on this machine, this algorithm is taking this much time on this machine, so this is the best. We cannot compare like that, because it depends on many factors. That's where we will measure a standard way of measuring the time complexity using asymptotic analysis. We'll try to understand what is asymptotic analysis is. So this way of measuring will not give us a correct way of time measuring the time complexity, because it will help us to conclude dramatically in an error, okay, which will be landing an error saying that which algorithm is running better or which algorithm is running bad. We will never able to determine by noting down the record time from our computer machines. Okay. Right. So this is the best way to learn to analyze our algorithm time complexity using asymptotic analysis. This is standard way. You ask anyone in computer science or any field, whenever an algorithm is designed, when you're talking about complexity, they will ask you to say in terms of asymptotic analysis. So now let us try to understand asymptotic analysis. So what we are interested is, again, the input size. The input size matters a lot. So after certain amount of input, if my algorithm B is giving better performance, then my algorithm is better than A. That's what we are trying to conclude. We never know when an input size grows, how an algorithm will behave. So based on your input size only, we'll try to measure. So that's how the asymptotic analysis works. So asymptotic analysis of an algorithm is defined using a mathematical foundation or a framing for running its framework. We'll try to understand how we will define asymptotic analysis using 3 cases. Okay, we will try to compare what is the best case, what is the average case, and what is the worst case scenario of algorithm. There are 3 things. So if my algorithm is, if I give best way of possible inputs, how my algorithm becomes. So best case is like the minimum time required for an program execution. Okay, the minimum time, what is the minimum time? Average time, you run n number of times, you see what is the average, you take an average. Worst case is the maximum time required for an program execution. So we will interested what is the minimum time, what is the average time, what is the maximum time, because we are not measuring in terms of seconds, we are measuring in terms of input size. So what is the minimum time depends on the input, what is the maximum time if my input is large, what is the maximum time, what is the average time. So this cases we will try to we have to we will calculate all these things, but asymptotic notations, before that we'll try to understand asymptotic notations. You have 3 notations when we discuss about asymptotic analysis or asymptotic notations. One is big O notation, omega notation, and theta notation. Okay, big O notation, omega notation, theta notation. We'll discuss what are these notations are. I will give a brief idea of what these notations are. Then we will take some examples, some algorithms. We will try to understand how we can calculate the time complexity of an algorithm. We will do some exercise. Okay, we will try to understand, because this is very important. Subsequently, when we discuss algorithms of data structures, we will discuss like this is the algorithm complexity. You should not be blank. What is this, right? So we will try to have, it will take some time, but bear with me. We will try to understand that. Okay. So let us now try to understand what is big O notation. See, you have a big O notation will help us to find the time complexity in terms of upper bound. In terms of upper bound means, so you have here a function f of n and g of n, some constant into g of n. Okay, so this will help us. For example, you see here the plot. This is the input n. N is the input size on the x-axis, and you are measuring the time on the y-axis. Okay. Now you observe here on the initially f of n is working better and lowering and increasing. It is based on this area, we will not be able to come to a conclusion which is better, f of n or g of n, right? From this area, because sometimes here f of n is better than g of n, but here g of n is better than f of n, but again here f of n is better than g of n, right? So it is varying, but after some constant, some n of 0, after some constant, if some constant into g of n is always greater than f of n, so f of n is always slower after some input, you observe that f of n is always slower, then we can express this in terms of big O notation. Okay, big O notation measures the worst case time complexity, or the longest amount of time of an algorithm can possibly take to complete. Okay, so what we are trying to say is, when a function f of n is there, when I say the time complexity big O of f of n is equal to g of n, such that there exists a constant and n naught, such that the constant into this function will, then f of n will be always less than c into g of n for all n greater than n naught. For all n greater than n naught, after n naught onwards, f of n will be always less than c into g of n. When your algorithm behaves like this, we can say that the time complexity is order of f of n. Okay, so order of f of n is the worst complexity. It will never exceed beyond some constant into g of n after some values. Does this make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yes. एक बार और बता दीजिए सर, ग्राफ वाला.
Okay, I'll repeat. See, f of n and g of n are two algorithms. Okay, you have an input size on x-axis. N is your input size. So from this initial point, can you tell which algorithm is better? Here, which algorithm is better? When I'm moving my mouse pointer, here, which algorithm is better? Can you see the color difference? Violet color and blue color?
Sir, blue one.
Yeah, here blue one is taking low time. Violet is taking more time, right? So blue one is better. Now tell me here, in this case,
Violet, sir.
so violet is taking less time here.
Yes.
Here,
Blue.
right? So it is varying here. So we will not able to conclude. We are not able to come to some conclusion based on this data, right?
Yes, sir.
So after n naught, there exists n naught, some value after some input size, say n naught. After that, this f of n is always better. F of n will be taking always less number of time, because this some constant g of n will be always more than the f of n. If your algorithm behaves like that, then you can say that the complexity of your algorithm is big O of the f of n will be big O of g of n. The complexity is the f of n is equal to big O of g of n. Okay, constant of g of n. The worst complexity is it will not go beyond. F of function will never go beyond the g of n. You see observe this graph. The time taking on a y-axis will not exceed after some input. F of n will never exceed g of n, right? So g of n is always greater. You can say that f of n complexity is order of big O of g of n. So this is the worst case complexity. So f of n will never exceed the value of g of n. This is what we are trying to say. You want me to repeat again?
No, sir.
Is this clear from this graph?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we are trying to compare with the worst algorithm, we represent in terms of big O. Okay, we represent in terms of big O. This is the worst case time complexity or the longest amount of algorithm. Okay, so f of n will never cross above than g of n. So my f of n complexity would be always big O of g of n. We'll ignore the constant. We'll say that big O of g of n. So this is what big O notation is. Likewise, we have an omega notation. Omega notation always calculates the best time. It measures the best time complexity, which is depends on the lower bound. Okay, which is based on the lower bound of an algorithm running time. So it measures the best case time complexity, or the best amount of an algorithm can possibly take to complete. So here in this case also, you have an f of n g of n. You have input size n, and based on here, what is the minimum time it will take for a function to complete? Based on this data, will not be able to come to a conclusion. But after certain input n naught, the f of n will always go above than g of n, some constant into g of n. Then we can say that the best complexity we can consider is omega of n. Okay, this is the best complexity opposite to big O notation. Big O notation calculates the worst time complexity. Big O notation calculates the best time complexity. Omega notation calculates the Big O notation calculates the worst time complexity. Omega notation calculates the best time complexity. Okay, so this is the best time. So f of n, g of n will be always less than f of n. So when you are representing after this value, then we can say that f of n in terms of omega of g of n means this is the best complexity we can take. It can't go less than that. It can't go less than that. Okay, that is the meaning. So f of n will never go below than g of n. Does this make sense?
Sir,
Yes.
in the definition where the inequality is given, gn less than equal to c times f of n, sir, should it be f of n greater than equal to c times g of n?
Here, no?
Sir, no, sir, in the omega notation only.
No, here I am writing g of n is less than or equal to c into f of n, right?
Okay, sir.
This is f of n is less than or equal to g of n only. G of n less than or equal to f of n. So f of n is greater. F of n will be always greater than g of n.
सर so C left hand side में नहीं होगा.
It's okay, constant, you ignore the constant.
Okay sir.
Does this make sense? Ignore the constant for the time being. A constant
Yes sir.
could be
Yes.
any size.
Yes.
That
Anything,
doesn't make
yes, sir.
sense. So the worst case is here we are saying that f of n will never go beyond g of n. Then we can say that f of n complexity could be big O of g of n. Here we are saying f of n will never go below than g of n. So we can say that this is the best time complexity. So f of n would be omega of g of n. This is the best time complexity. It will not go, f of n will never go below than g of n. So this is the best time we can get. We are writing in terms of omega. So we are writing g of n, f of n is always greater than g of n. Okay, shall we go ahead?
Yes sir.
So there is a third notation theta. In theta, it's always bounded between upper bound and lower bound. Okay, when an algorithm having two parameters when we can represent. So we have f of n, c1 of g of 1 and c2 of g of n. It is bounded in between. Means after some time, when you vary with a simple constant, more or less they are equal. Okay, f of n is equal to g of n if and only if g of n will be big O of f of n also and g of n will be omega of f of n also. If these two parameters holds. So there will be some values exist with f of n cannot go beyond and f of n cannot go below also. When such kind of algorithms exist, we can say that its f of n will be theta of g of n. So this is, we are theta of comparison is an average case. Average case, we are trying to say that this will not go beyond also, this will not go below also. So when we can able to say that an average bound, we are trying to represent in terms of theta. F of n will be theta of g of n. Okay. But what we are mostly we will do in our upcoming classes, we will see if an algorithm is running best time, it is not assuring that it will run in the worst case, right? So always we will assume the worst case and we will try to bring out what is our algorithm complexity, what is the worst case time taking is what we are really interested, and we will try to study our algorithms worst time complexity only. What is the worst time an algorithm might take? We will try to think if the worst time is known, always the average time and the best time will be less than that only, right? Okay, so if you don't understand this concepts, that's okay. But let us now try to understand how we'll calculate. We'll see some examples. We'll see some examples how
Hello,
we'll
sir.
calculate the time. Yes.
So in this graph representation, so what will be our actual time complexity? That n naught will be our time complexity, or the c will be?
No. N naught after n naught. After n naught is an input. Is one of the input. See,
Yes,
n
yes.
is your input. Okay, n is your input. So n naught might be 100 or 1000 or 10,000. After some value, your function behaves like this.
So that is input means number of lines of code per minute per second like that.
No. Input is see, input. See, you want to start an algorithm. Your input is 10 elements, or 100 elements, or 1000 elements.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Your input is what is the size of your input is what matters. Okay, not lines of code.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let us now try to understand with a simple example. Now, for example, we want to measure how an asymptotic analysis works. say for example, I'll write a statement, say printf hello world. Okay, this is only one statement. It will print hello world. So it will take constant amount of time. Okay, it will take order of 1 only. Okay, so here your input is only one line, one input. Hello world is at one string. This is only your one input. So it will take only a constant amount of, this is one statement. You can say that it's a one statement or one input. So it will take only constant amount of time to execute the code, whichever the operating system is, whichever the configurations you are using. If you are printing one line, it will take order of one constant amount of time. Now let us assume you are putting a loop 1 to n times. You are printing hello world n number of times. Now your complexity will print hello world n times, right? Now the complexity of the code will increase to, what is your input size? Your input varied from 1 to n. So your input, now the complexity will vary from order of 1 to order of n. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
This is the worst time. It can run faster also. If you are running this 1 to n time loop in a multi-process system, it can run fast, but we are not worried about that. But the worst case, it will not exceed beyond order of n, big O of n. Okay, so our input n, how many times you are printing, how many times is your input, right? You are printing one time here, you are taking order of one time. You are printing here n times, you are running this loop n times. So your input size varies from 1 to n. Now your complexity will be order of n. Does this make sense? A simple example.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, sir.
let us now try to understand a bit little complicated way. Okay, so let us now write a pseudo code and we will try to measure the asymptotic analysis. So this is our we are trying to calculate the sum of elements in an array. We will give an array and we'll calculate what are the sum of elements in array. This you would have done in your first year C programming. So I'm passing an array and my input size n into an array. So how many times this statement will execute? Total is equal to 0.
So one time.
One time. So the cost will be only number of is equal to 1. Okay, order of 1 we will take only one time. So this is a loop. I'm running 0 to n minus 1 times. I'm calculating sum is equal to sum of a of array. So every time I will increment, the loop will run up to 0 to n minus 1 times. This statement will execute. So how many times this statement will execute?
N times.
How many times this statement will execute?
N times.
N times.
No. This will execute n plus 1 time because 0 to n minus 1 is n time. 1 to n minus 1 is n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1 is n times. And one more time it will check to make sure the loop is failed. For the false condition, right? Loop has to break now. Is it not making sense to you? Okay. Guys, think how many times the loop will run 0 to n minus 1?
Yes, sir.
0 to n minus 1, how many times the loop will run?
N times.
N times. So sum is equal to sum plus a plus y will run n times. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now one more time it will run to make sure the loop is failed, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
This
sir.
will run n plus 1 times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how many times return sum will execute?
So one time only.
One time, right? So we will calculate the total. So 1 plus this will run Why it's 2? Okay, I think it's a mistake here. We will see. Just give me 1 second. Cost is equal to n plus 1 times. Here cost is equal to n time. So this will be here n plus 1. Here it will be n plus 1. Right. Is this correct? So your total sum will be, this will be 1 time plus here n plus 1 times. For this statement it will be n time, and the sum it will be 1 time. So total will be 2n plus 3, but we will consider that as a constant, right? This is 2n plus 1, 2n plus 3. So this 2 we will consider that as C1 into n, and plus this 3 will consider as a constant C2. So what is here the complexity would be? We'll ignore the constants. If we ignore the constants, the time complexity to take this algorithm is order of n. Okay, this is order of n. This algorithm will, this pseudocode to print the sum of elements will be running depends on, if your n is 100, it will take maybe 100 times. If your input size is bigger, then your algorithm will also take worst case complexity will be order of n. So we will ignore this constant. So we will write this, the time complexity will be in terms of input order of n. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Ignore the constants. We will ignore the constants. We will write in terms of big O of n. So likewise, if you calculate the matrix complexity, the square matrix complexity, you have n by n. So you will get approximately a time complexity of an square plus bn plus c. Okay. When you calculate, you are running 2 times inner loop for calculating matrix addition. You have matrix A, you have n inputs, n cross n, and again you are running n cross n. For addition, you are running 2 loops, right? Have you did matrix addition?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me, in this case, I'll take a blank page here. Tell me how you have to read n elements in an array. In an array A. What is the time complexity for this?
Sir, big O of n.
Yes, it will take n amount of time, right? Likewise, you have to read n elements in B. How many? What is the time complexity for here?
Sir, big O of n.
Right. Now you want to do addition, right? How we are doing addition? For row is equal to 0, row less than or equal to n, row less than n, row plus plus. You are running an inner loop, right?
Yes, sir.
For column is equal to 0, column less than n, column plus plus. You are again running an inner loop. This will maybe C matrix, C of row column will be A of
A row column plus B row column.
column plus B of
column.
row plus row of column, right? So tell me how much is the complexity for this? This statement, what is the complexity? How many times this loop will run?
N square times.
This will run, okay, this will run n times, right?
N times, yes, sir.
This will run again. This is inside this loop. So this will run n times. So this will run this statement will run n square times.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this statement will run n square times. This is inside this loop. Okay, so this is also will run for one time. This will be running this time. So this will be also n square times. Does this make sense? This is running n times. Again, this is for every time. So it's something like this. Okay, this will run one for first loop 1 into n plus second time. This will run for the second loop 2 into n. This will run again 3 into n, right, and so on and so forth. When you do addition, what will be the, if you calculate, it will come something like this, n into n plus 1 by 2, something like that, right? So that's the arithmetic progression. If you calculate this and so on and so forth, it will come around n into n plus 1 by 2. Okay, because you are running inside a loop or inside a loop, the first time it will run n times. This will now run 2 into n times, then 3 into n times, then n into, this will run n into n times. Okay, so it will give approximately n square. This will be calculating, you can see this, n into n will be approximately n square. Okay, now if you calculate the total time complexity, what will happen here? The total time complexity will be n plus n square. Some constant elements will be there, right? Like here total 0, some 0. This will take some constant amount of time, some c, right? So indirectly this will, it will look like a into n square plus b into n plus c. Okay, this is what we have written here, the sum of elements a n square plus b n plus c. Okay, now let us now is this make sense how we are calculating the time progress for a given algorithm? Is it okay up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me take another slide. We will try to compare now. Now let us try to see that this is n input, this is n square. Okay, now tell me if my n is 10, then the size will be the same 10 only. Here my input size is n. What would be the my n square? It's 100, right? 10 into 10. Say your input size is 100, then your output size is also 100 only. Here if your input size is 100, what will happen? What will happen to n square? What is 100 into 100?
10,000.
10,000.
Right, 10,000. So we will draw a table, right? That will make more sense to us. So let us now draw a table here. We'll give an input size. We'll remove this. So input say we'll write input size. We'll give n here and we will give n square here. Now tell me, so if your input size is 10, your n will be 10 only, your n square will become 100, right? So if this is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what happens when your input size is 100?
It will be 10 power 4.
So 10 to the power of 4 is 10,000. If my input size is 1000, what will be your n? 1000 only. What will be your n square?
10 to the power 6.
That is 10 lakhs. So what happens when your input size is 10,000? Here your input size is 10,000 only, but here n square will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 10 crore. You see this, when I plot this value, when I plot, there is no plot here. We'll see, we'll try to plot, see what happens. This did not come properly. Ayyo. This did not come properly, but okay, you can imagine, we will plot only these values. It is not coming, only two values I selected. See, you compare this. It's not coming properly. I don't know why. Do you know anybody how to plot the values? Okay, this could be better, but we don't have. Okay, something like this. Okay, something like this. Something like this. Okay, when your input varies, maybe it goes like this. It should not come like this, but still. So there is something wrong. Give me 1 second. We'll plot the chart properly. I will show you this. We'll plot line only. But somehow the x and y values are not constant. We will. Okay, fine. Let me do one thing. I will take an Excel sheet. In Excel sheet, I will plot. That will help you in a better way. This is creating some problem. Okay, You see this when you compare, not this also. Change charge type. You can select x-axis, y-axis. Let's just give me 1 second. Series 1, no, this is the problem. Okay, now see this. This is the graph. You can able to see the graph. This yellow line is n square. Okay, this yellow line is n square. You can see this for the blue line is n. N value is same constant on x-axis. Whatever the n value is the same constant. But the orange line, whatever it is going exponentially increase. So what I'm trying to say is, when you are comparing the n value, when you compare with the 10 lakhs, when you compare 10 lakhs, 1000 is negligible. Can I say like that?
Yes, sir.
So when you compare 10 crore, 10,000 is negligible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when there is a complexity for a large n, when your input size is large, compared to 10 billion, you can ignore 10,000. It is not making that much difference. In your equation, it is not making that much difference. So what we will say is, although our equation is an square plus bn plus c, the time complexity we will measure in terms of input size. So we will consider only n square. So we are saying that the function n, the n square value is the worst time complexity. It will not go beyond that. Compared to the other elements will be negligible. Okay, so when your equation is like this, t sum n square plus bn plus c, we will write whatever the biggest element is there, what are the biggest coefficient, we will write the time complexity in terms of that value. So for this equation, the time complexity is order of n square. Okay, for this time complexity, when an equation an square plus bn plus c is there, the time complexity is order of n square. We will try to write in asymptotic notation like this. Is this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us tell me what is the time complexity for this equation.
Big O of n.
Because you have 2 into n plus 6, your input size is n. This could take worst time complexity big O of n times. Okay, that's correct. Can you tell me what is the complexity for this equation?
So ON log n.
Right, which is bigger, n log n or n?
So N log n, sir.
N log
N log n is bigger than n, but when your input is varying to a large number, then the time complexity of n log n will be greater than n. Okay, so your complexity is n log n.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is the complexity for this? 8n square log n plus 5n square plus n?
Big O n square
So
log
O
n.
of n square log n.
Any other answers? Okay, so it's O of big O of n square log n, because that is the biggest element. When you are trying to compare the complexity for the large inputs, the other values will become negligible. So this is one of the increasing order of asymptotic analysis. So when you are designing an algorithm which will reach, which you are without even though whatever the input size is, if you are able to reach run your algorithm in order of 1 time, Okay, that is the best algorithm. Okay, so this is the best time complexity. After that, log n is the even better. I mean, second best. Then, so order of 1 will be the lowest time complexity. Order of log n will take more time than order of 1. Order of n will take more time than order of log n. Order of n log n will take more than n order of n. Order of n square will take more than n log n. Okay, order of n square log n will take more than n square. Order of n cube will take more than n square log n. Order of n cube will take order of n to the power of n will be more than order of n cube, provided m greater than 3. Okay, m greater than 3. And also order of m to the power of n, it's an exponential complexity. These both are exponential complexity. What is the difference? I'll tell you. See, this is the input size. N is the input size. Okay, 2 to the power of 12 to the power of 30 is what we are measuring here. Here, some constant to the power of input. Okay, some constant to the power of input will be more time complexity than the input power to some value. And the worst complexity is factorial. Among all this, if your algorithm is taking factorial number of times to run your algorithm, then that would be your worst case complexity. If you plot the graph, it will look like this. I'm trying to plot the graph like this. So you can see that when your input size is growing, your operations, so order of 1 will take constant amount of time. Okay, order of log n will be taking somewhere here. Order of n square, order of n after this one, order of n log n will take like this. Order of x square, order of x cube, order of 2 to the power of x, order of 2 to order of n factorial. The time complexity will go exponentially huge. So we call this, whenever log n will come, we call that as a logarithmic complexity. Whenever we are writing in terms of n, we are trying to say that's a linear complexity. In order of n square, it's a quadratic complexity. Order of n to the power of k, polynomial complexity. And a to the power of n, some constant into n, this is an exponential complexity. Okay, so if any algorithm is running exponential complexity, that's a very bad algorithm. Okay, so that's what we will try to understand in terms of asymptotic notation. Okay, so if you have any doubts up to this class, let me know. Otherwise, we will take some 5 minutes break. We are discussing since 1 hour, so we'll take 5 to 10 minutes break. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts in this class, let me know.
सर थीटा एन एक बार रिपीट कर दीजिए.
See, theta n, it is, see, big, you understand what big O of n?
Yes, sir.
What is big O of n?
Sir, the worst case time complexity.
Right. So what is omega of n?
Sir, best case time complexity.
Okay. How do you measure average time complexity?
Sir, don't know.
Yes, that's where we use theta, right? Theta says that, see, big O of n says that f of n will never go beyond g of n. This is the worst time. This is the
Yes,
worst
sir.
complexity, right? Omega, we
Yes,
say
sir.
that f of n will never fall below than g of n. This is the best
Yes, sir.
complexity. Theta of n, average time, it will bound between worst and best. C1 g of n is the best time complexity. C2 g of n is the worst time complexity.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So
Okay, sir.
C2 g of n is the worst time complexity. C1 g of n is the worst time complexity. Now, if your function f of n is big O of, I mean, if f of n could be big O of C2 into g of n, and also f of n could be C1 omega of g of n. If this both properties satisfy, then we can say that it's a theta of g of n. F of n That's what I've written. If g of n would be big O of f of n and g of n would be omega of f of n. If both properties are there, big O of n and best O of omega of n, then we say that f of n is theta of n.
Okay, sir.
It lies both between the best case and the worst case.
Worst case, yes, sir.
Okay, is it clear? Is this example is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, after this class, we will do some more exercise for you to better understanding. We will introduce few more things. I guess that would be better. So let's take 2-3 minutes break. If you want to drink water or take a break, you can relax, stretch your muscles, stretch your hands. Okay. Since you are in the campus, I'm giving you one suggestion. If it is not making any sense what I'm teaching, and if you want to talk to me in person, you can come to my cabin. I'm sitting in design center in first floor. Okay, you can come to my cabin. I'll be in my cabin. We will discuss. I'll explain. I'll take more time because in our class we have only 2 hours. If you're not able to understand anything, you can please come to my cabin. We'll discuss. I'll make sure that you understand even in a more better way by discussing even with more examples with more time. Because of the time class restrictions, we have to cover a lot of syllabus. I may not able to explain for all of you, but some of you, if you are not able to understand still, come to my cabin. We'll talk. We'll discuss. If you're not able to understand, it's your right to ask a teacher to help you to guys to understand. Okay. So I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say so far. If you're not getting, you can raise question or you can come and meet me. I will explain it in person. Okay. So shall we go ahead? We'll discuss just 20-30 minutes more, then I'll stop.
Okay, sir.
All right. So can you calculate what is the time complexity for this algorithm? This is the algorithm for insertion sort. Anyone, can you calculate what is the time complexity? Anyone?
N square.
Sir, big O n square.
Big O of n square.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other answers? Any other answers? Okay, so big O of n square is correct. So you can see this. The first statement, assume that it is length n. A dot length is n. Maybe the cost C1, this will run n times. This will run n minus 1 times. Because n time, because the condition failed, right? It will happen one more time. Then insert A of j. Then this statement also will run n minus 1 times. Then this is a comment, so this will not run zero cost, but every time the comment it will ignore, right? But every time it will see there is a comment. The comment will be checked by algorithm, so it will run n minus 1 times. I is equal to j minus 1, again some constant into n minus 1 times. This while loop, if you observe, this will run summation of j is equal to 2, right? I is equal to j minus 1. So if j value is 2, then I value is 1. So this will run j to n up to j is equal to 2 to, this is 2 to a dot length, that is n number of times. This will run 2 to n, this statement, say tj. Okay, how this statement will execute, I have given here tj, then c6 again j to n minus 2 to n to tj minus 1. This will also 2 to n tj minus 1. This will run n minus 1 times. Okay, this is inside, this a of key is still inside the for loop. So this will run n minus 1 times. Now, if you observe, what is this this complexity? J to n tj will be j to n, j will be n into n plus 1 by 2 minus 1, because this is the complexity it will take. And also this will be j to 2 to j minus 1 would be n into n minus 1 by 2. You can expand this expansion. If you expand, substitute 2 is equal to 2 and up to n, you will get this equation after simplifying this. So we are calculating total summation, some constant into C1, C1 into n plus comes a constant into n minus 1, some constant into C4 into n minus 1, some constant into n plus 1 by 2 minus 1, some constant into C6 into n into n minus 1 by 2. All these things, if you solve this, what would be here? Here you will get n into n square plus 1, again n, this will be n. Here also it will be n square, again you will get n square. So your complexity will look like maybe 1, 2, 3, 3n square plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6n, sorry, this minus, right? So 4n, something, some constant, right? For this one another n, 5n. So 3n square plus 5n, some constant will come. So what is the time complexity for that? Would be big O of n square. Does this make sense? How we are calculating the time complexity? It's more detailed way, but when you solve this equation, it will come more or less like 3n square plus 5n, some constant, plus or minus constant it will come. So if you ignore the constants, your complexity will be big O of n square. So insertion sort will take order of n square. Does this make sense? Is anybody having doubt? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are some approaches, that's where the problem will come. There is an approach called divide and conquer approach. This is one of the strategy of algorithms. What happens in this case is you divide the problem into sub problems, a smaller instance of the same problem, then you conquer, solve the problem, solve the sub problem recursively. If the sub problem is small enough, just solve the sub problems, then combine the solutions. Combine the solution of all the sub problems into the original solution. That's how the divide and conquer approach will work. One of the way, quick sort, merge sort, all this works in the idea of divide and conquer approach. So the merge sort algorithm follows divide and conquer. What happens is the n element you want to sort, you will divide into two halves. You will divide and divide and divide into sub problems. Then sort the two subsequents and merge them all the sorted sequence. Suppose this is your sequence, like okay, this is your sequence 5 2 4 7 1 3 2 1. Okay, so this is your sequence. You will divide this problem into, you will divide, see this 8 elements, you will divide into 4. 4 is divided into 2 2, 2 is divided into 1 1. You divide, then you again merge. When you're merging, you will solve this. So 2 will become first, 5 will become second. For this sub problem, you have only 2 elements. So 4 is the first element and 7 is the second element. So this sub problem is solved. So 1 and 3, again this problem is solved. 2 and 6, this problem is solved. Then again you merge this again 2. 2, 5, 4, 7. So 2 will become first, 4 will become second, 5 will become third, 7 will become fourth. This is one sub problem, 2 sub problems. You are solving this. Again here 1, 3, 2, 6. You have 2 lists. You are sorting it. 1 will come, then 2 will come, 3 will come, and 6 will come. This you are sorting. Then you have 2 sub lists. You are solving into one sorted sequence. So when you compare these 2 lists, 1 will come here, maybe 2 will come here, then 2 will come here, 3 will come here, 4 will come here, 5 will come, 6 will come, and 7 will come. So this is how the merge sort works. Merge sort works by dividing the problem into sub problems. Then it will solve recursively by merging it back, comparing and merging. It will try to sort in a sequence. Okay, so this is another approach of sorting. You understand how this sorting works? So these are all in one array. You divide into one element where further you cannot able to divide. Then you are solving this. Assume that you have only 2 elements. So you sort them first. This is one subproblem, you sort them first. This is one subproblem, you sort them first, you merge them. Okay, then again this will be even your subproblem. So you are doing in a recursive way. So this is your algorithm. So initially you divide your array, your initial position and final position. Say P is this one and R is the end of the element. You take P plus R by 2. You divide the element into two lists. It will be Q. Then merge sort A, P, Q. First to Q half, then half to remaining R. Okay, then merge sort will be called again APQ. Again this will call, again you divide into half, again you divide into half, further you divide, keep dividing. Likewise on the right hand side also keep dividing, then merge. So how you are merging? You comparing, when you are merging two elements, you are comparing the elements from left to right and right to left. You are comparing. This is how the merge sort works. I hope this is the logic. This is the pseudocode. Can you calculate the time complexity for this algorithm? What is the time complexity?
Sir, log of n.
No, you can still think. Any other answers? So this is a problem, right? When a program you are implementing in a recursion, you cannot simply calculate constant into n times or constant into n minus 1 times. That's a problem, right? So we'll try to understand how to solve this. So usually for dividing a problem into a subarray, we'll take only constant of time. Okay. So we'll recursively solve two problems. So your main problem n will be divided into two subproblems n by 2, which will calculate 2 into n by 2 running time, right? Your main problem is divided into half 2 times, left and right. Is this correct? And
Yes,
you
sir.
are combining, merging. The merging will take theta of n. Okay, so your time complexity is, if n is equal to 1, then only you are taking order of 1 time. If n is greater than 1, then you are dividing the problem into two halves. Then the time complexity will be taken, will be 2 into t of n by 2 plus some theta of n. This is your time complexity. So how to determine in terms of n is a problem. So you are having t of n, a, you are dividing the problem into two halves, t into n by 2 and t into n by 2. This is 2t n by 2, right? Again, this cn by 2 will be divided into tn by 4 and tn by 4, right? You are keep dividing the problem into sub problems, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this way we are dividing and dividing the problem? We are dividing into equal subhalves. So when you do this, c into n of cn into c of n by, I mean some constant into n, n by 2 and n by 2, again n by 4, n by 4, n by 4. The amount of this will take c of n. This will take how much? 2 into cn by 2 plus cn by 2 will take 2c n by 2, 2 will cancel, again n c of n will come, right? Add this. What is the amount of complexity for this line? Cn by 2 plus Cn by 2. 2Cn by 2 will be Cn only, na?
Yes, sir.
So what will happen here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4Cn by 4 will be again Cn only. So the amount of computation that will require to calculate here will be C of n. But the problem here is divided into log n times. If you see vertically, your problem will be divided into log n. It will go up to log n times. Okay. So what do you mean by that? For example, if I have 8 elements, how much depth it will go, how many times you can divide? 8 will be divided into 4, 8 will be divided into 4, 4, 4 will be divided into 2, 2, 2 will be divided into 1, 1. What is the depth? 1, 2, 3, right? So if your input is 8, you are getting 3 levels. So log 8 you can represent as log 2 to the power of 3, right? Means 8 can be represented as 2 to the power of 3, which is this many levels. Okay, so if your input size is n, you can divide your levels in log n times. If your input is 16, then how many levels you can divide? That would be 2 to the log 16, that is 4 levels. Okay, is this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Why log n is making sense now? So if you have 5 elements, you can't have 5 elements, but suppose you have 5 elements, what will be your depth?
So 2.
So initially maybe 2 or 3 here. So then also you need 3 levels. Okay. So any beyond that, it will go log n times. So your complexity will be Cn, and every time the log n will add here. So here the total will be, this will be n times. This each problem will take n times. So the complexity will be C into log n plus Cn. So your complexity will be n log n times. Okay. So the merge sort will take n log n times. Does this make sense? Not making sense? This level will be taking C into log n, right? This also will take C into log n. This will take C into log n. This will take C into log n. So how many C's are there here? N C's are there, right? This is Cn. You are dividing into sub problems. So this total will be n times, right? Your Cn will be divided into constants n times. So each level will be solved log n. So this will communicate C log n, C log n, C log n, C log n. This total will be Cn log n, correct? Then at each level you are trying to merge it. Again, this will take Cn. So your total complexity will be Cn log n plus Cn. You'll ignore the other constant, then your complexity will become n log n. Okay, the merge sort will take the complexity of n log n. Now tell me which is better, merge sort or insertion sort?
Sir, merge sort.
Merge sort.
Okay, yeah, so because insertion sort will take n square, but that is another story. We will come to that back later. Is this make sense what we are trying to discuss now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will tell you one simple method. It's called a Master's theorem. So whenever you find a recurrence form, you can calculate the time complexity if you remember only three cases. Okay, so if your any recurrence form divide and conquer, if it is there, if any form will look like T of n is equal to a into t into n by b plus f of n, where a will be greater than 1. This should be greater than a and greater than or equal to b greater than 1 given f of function. Then the Master's theorem will help us to find the complexity of an algorithm if the form is in recurrence. So to use the Master theorem, we have three cases. With these three cases, we will be able to determine the asymptotic bounds very easily. Okay, so it depends on the f of n. So if function f of n will be big O of it's worse than n to the power of log a by b minus some constant, some epsilon, for some epsilon greater than or equal to 0. What is a and b? A and b are these values. A here and b here. These are the a and b values. If n to the power of log a to the power of b, if this condition is true, then the time complexity for the recurrence relation is theta of n to the power of log a to the base b. Okay, if f of n will be theta will be equal, more or less equal to n to the power of log a to the log a to the base b, then your time complexity will be theta of n to the power of log a to the base b into log n. If case 3 is f of n will be omega of n to the power of log a to the base b minus epsilon for some constant, then your complexity will be theta of f of n. So these are the three cases. We can directly use Master's method. So for example, this is our example. So for example, t is equal to 2t n by 2. This is the merge sort. Merge sort we discussed. We no need to follow the tree recursively. We will simply calculate a value is here 2, b value is here 2. We'll calculate what is the value of n to the power of log a to the base b. Okay, so log a to base b is also 2. This is log 2 base 2 is what? N only, right? Guys, simply substitute the values. A into t to the power of n by b, right? A value here, what is the a value here? This is 2. B value is here, is also 2. We'll calculate what is the value of n to the power of log a to the base b, right? So we'll calculate this value. What will happen when you substitute log 2 the base 2 is what? Log 2 base 2 is what?
1.
1. So this is n, right? So you will observe here, this is the case. It is n is equal to n. This is more or less equal. They are equal, right? N to the power of f of n is what here? F of n is n here. So f of n is n. This is also n. So they are equal with each other. So case 2 of Master theorem will work. So what is the case 2 here? N to the power of log a to the base b into log n. What is a value, b value? Log 2 to the base 2 is 1. This will become n log n. So your complexity is n log n. Is this correct? What we solved in the previous case? Okay, so the complexity will be n log n. Okay, now let us try to assume here again here. The second case, Tn is equal to 2Tn by 2 plus order of 1. Now tell me, this value is n is equal to 1, which is greater? This value here, a value is 2, b value is 2, this value will become 1. So if n, the f of function is 1, so here n value is greater, right? N value is greater than 1, Means which case will be suitable? Case 1, right? You see this? F of n is greater. F of n is big O of this value. So f of n is greater, right? F of n is equal to big O of n to the power of log a to the base b. This big O of n, so big O of n to the power of log b, this is greater than f of n, right? This value is greater than f of n. So f of n will never go beyond this value. Okay, f of n will never go beyond this n. So n is greater, right? Will never go. So the case 1 will work. What is the case 1? Complexity will be n to the power of log a b. So what is the complexity in this case? Tn 2tn by 2 plus order of 1. If this is the case, your time complexity will be order of n only. Okay. However, third case, you see t of n is equal to 2tn by 2 plus n square. Now here what will happen? This will become n, but f of n is n square. So this will become omega, right? So f of n is greater. So f of n is greater than n to the power of log a to the base b. Then the third case will come. The complexity will be theta of f of n. That is, theta of f of n will be f of n is n square, theta of n square. Does this make sense? How we are calculating the time complexity? Guys, try to follow this. Okay, if your value, this value is bigger, in the second case, n to the power of log a to the base b, which is bigger than f of n. Okay, bigger means this value is bigger. So bigger, it will not go, f of n will not go beyond this value, means big O of f of n, right? Big O of n to the power of log a to the base b. The case 1 will work. Then the time complexity we are calculating directly to order of n by substituting a and b values. So in this case, when n square is greater, so this will become omega of n. F of n is greater than n to the power of log a to the base b. Then we can say that f of n is omega of n to the power of log a to the base b. We can say that the time complexity directly we can say that it's theta of f of n. F of n is n square. Directly we are writing theta of n square. Okay, so we are using this Master's theorem. This is a simple formula. Based on these three cases, we are able to determine the complexity of the algorithm. Very easily we will determine the complexity of algorithm. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are some cases. For example, when you calculate this 80 n by 2 plus n to the power of log n, here what will happen? What is the n to the power of log a to the base b? A value is 8, b value is 2, so it's n cube. Okay, n to the power of log a b is n cube. Here f of n is smaller than n to the power of n cube divided by log n will be greater than n cube, sorry, less than n cube, right? Because n cube is greater than n cube divided by log n. So in that case, the Master's theorem will not work, because this value is greater than f of n. So f of n is smaller than n to the power of log a to the base b. When such cases comes, when f of n will become smaller than n to the power of log a to the base b, we cannot claim Master's theorem. Then the Master's theorem will not work. then we have to go for substitution method or recursion tree method. Substitution method works, we will assume this is the time complexity and we will prove by mathematical induction. We'll assume some constant for n is equal to 1. Then what happens for n is equal to n square? That is how substitution method works. Recursion tree method works like the first way I explained. How we calculated the merge sort recursion tree. We will divide the problem into sub problems in trees, in a subtree. We will see what is the complexity at each level. We will calculate the total complexity. Okay. So for example, when I want to calculate the time complexity, consider this recurrence. Tn is equal to t to the power of n by 4 plus t to the power of n by 2 plus n square. Then with the best case complexity, when you substitute 1, this will become order of 1 because n is 1, this will become 1, this will become half, this will become 1 by 4. So this will become order of 1. But when you calculate this time complexity, like n square will be divided into n to the power of 4 whole square plus n to the power of 2 whole square. This will be approximately 5 by 16 n square. When you calculate all these parameters, then again this problem will become n to the power n by 16 whole square, n by 8 square, because you are dividing 4 times, you are dividing 2 times here. So this will become n by 8 square, n by 4 square. If you calculate all this value, this will be 25 by 256 n square and so on and so forth. So if we calculate the total complexity, this will look like something like this: n square of 1 plus 5 by 16 plus 5 by 16 whole square and so on and so forth. When you consider the geometric series, this will be your approximately this value. When you calculate this value n square into some, this is a geometric series 1 by 5 by 16. This will look like 1 plus x 1 plus x square plus x cube. Geometric series, you can see this value is a constant. It is not going beyond 1 minus x or 1 minus x. This is not going, 1 divided by something will be 0 only. And so your time complexity will be n square into some constant. So for this recurrence relation, the time complexity is n square. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so be careful. Only when these 3 conditions true, then only you will be able to use master theorem. There are some recurrences here you cannot use master's theorem. This is not looking like a recurrence like this. Okay, so at that time you have to use recursion tree method or substitution method. Substitution method, as I said, it's a mathematical induction. We'll assume that and we'll prove. This is a bit complicated. I will suggest go for the recursion tree only. Okay, so many times the master's theorem you cannot use. Only when these 3 cases are true, then only you'll be able to determine the complexity of algorithm, provided it is in the recursion form. Otherwise, you calculate like this. Given an algorithm, you calculate like this. If it is a recursion, you calculate recursion tree method or master's theorem. You will be able to determine the complexity of an algorithm. Okay, so this we discussed in depth, but that's why you may not able to understand many things. I'll ask you to go through the slides again. If you have still doubts, we will discuss in the next class. We'll delete this slide. So we'll discuss in the next class also if you are not sure, or you can come to my cabin. We'll discuss again in my cabin. So I will stop here. We'll stop. If you have any doubts, you ask. Meanwhile, I'll upload the slide. So you understood how we are calculating time complexity using asymptotic analysis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm telling you, this is very
Hello, sir.
So I have uploaded the slide. Can you verify in your team? Can you see the time complexity PDF?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
So please go through the slides again. Read any textbook or any YouTube videos or any other textbooks also to understand how to calculate the time complexity. Okay, and maybe if you have understood, that's good. If you're not understood, please go through the slides again. You can ask me in the next class also. If you want to repeat, I will repeat it. But try to understand what we are discussing. Because in the upcoming slides, I will simply ask you to calculate what is the complexity. You should be able to understand what is the complexity is. Okay, that's why I'm telling.
Okay, sir.
All right. If you don't have any doubts, you can leave now. I will stop the class now. You can leave.
Excuse me,
We'll meet
sir.
next Tuesday.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Anybody has any doubts?
Sir, I have just one request to make, sir. Can you please extend the date of the assignment which is due for today for maybe Sunday, sir? So because, sir, it was a bit lengthy, and in this week we have like four assignments, and all were lengthy, sir.
Okay. So this is first and last request. Don't ask me again. I'll extend to next Tuesday. You can submit by next Tuesday.
Okay, sir. So thank you very much, sir.
Submit before 30.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You can see the updated due date.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you can leave.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
meet next Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.